Shane is not here today, so this PDQ&A could be really interesting.
It's true.
I mean,
We've
we'll
got
do our best, guys.
a crazy bunch of guys here. And by bunch, I mean two.
Also, the length of it is determined on how many questions.
That's true.
You ask. So keep them coming in the chat.
Keep them coming. We'll keep drinking. So, should we?
That's a promise.
Yeah, let's jump into this.
Jump into this. All right. So Kelly's reading questions today. Chris and I are gonna fumble our best through it, I guess.
Okay, let's start out with a question from the fabulous Bethany A. I'm looking to start managing AdBlock Plus through PDQ Deploy for IE, Chrome, and Firefox. IE is an installation file, but for Firefox and Chrome, they are extensions. Anything special for a browser extension installation?
Hey, Bethany, thanks.
Howdy.
You want to take that one?
I got this one.
You got this one?
I've
Okay.
played with this before. So, recommendation off the bat is going to be using group policy.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to actually get things deployed and installed via group policy, especially with Chrome. They actually have the ADM and the ADMX files available for you for those templates, and it's just a breeze. That being said, like Firefox, I think the default Firefox doesn't have the GPOs. You have to use something like PolicyPack, or there's another Front Motion has an MSI version of Firefox that does that. But aside from that, if you want to do it manually, you can add them into the registry, just like the GPO template would do. And you can absolutely deploy that with PDQ Deploy. I don't have the links off the top of my head, but if you just Google for those specifically, I think the Chrome ones are on the chromium.org webpage for enable plugins and extension, force install, whatever.
So basically you're doing registry edits?
Yep.
And you're good to go.
And that's it. And it'll actually enforce it. You can do whitelist, you can do blacklist, you can do pretty much everything that you'd expect. And then you can just all push those updates out to the registry via PDQ Deploy.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, before the next question,
thank you.
Flash. Let's talk about Flash.
Flash. We love Flash. Adobe Flash came out earlier this week for version
Many
22.
times.
Yeah, several times. For 22.0.0.209, as many of you probably saw. And as unfortunately many of you probably saw, there was a bug in Adobe's release of it for the ActiveX. That this only affects Windows 7 and prior versions that use the Adobe Flash for IE. They released a new one this morning, version 210. So we pushed that out as
Been
well.
busy today, haven't we?
Yeah, so we no longer have to kill the browser for that. Anyway, check it out if you have any questions. It just had some issues. So we've updated. That's why there's been kind of a lot of updates lately.
To Flash. Hey, speaking of JJ, did we get the survey done? Is that set up at all?
No.
Okay, guys, can you chime in? We need to know, because we've been doing that, Flash All IE package, and that has been, since we've broken it out into the different versions, we're just kind of wondering how many people are actually using that, because we're thinking of discontinuing that, because every time there's a bug or something, it becomes exponentially more difficult. So
using what? So like all of the different versions? Or
well, we just want to know: are you using the All IE? Now, Shane and I have talked about you guys kind of moving off that, and again, we're thinking about
if you're using the All IE, type 1 in the chat window.
In the chat window.
Yeah.
Listen to JJ.
And then on top of that is because we honestly, since we've broken it down to different versions, we have IE for old versions of IE, Windows 7 and prior, which this bug affected. We have IE for Windows 8. We have IE for Windows 10 that are all separate packages now, so why keep them separate?
Guys, the advantage of using the individual packages as opposed to the All IE is your auto deploy is going to work much smoother. You're going to have less of those packages going out.
Yeah.
So the All IE, every time there's a change, you got a new one.
It's targeted specifically toward that particular operating system.
There you go. So if you guys mind, just letting us know what you think.
Yep.
So
Cool.
Shane chimed in. How you doing, Shane?
Hey.
All right.
Shane, we miss you, bro. Kind of.
Aw.
We miss him, obviously. So, should we hit another question?
That's about it, yeah.
Okay, next question from Monica K. But before we get to the question, we have to pause for just a moment. Special shout out to Monica. Round of applause. She got a brand new fabulous gig, Monica.
Hey,
Well
Monica,
done.
all right.
Making her way up that corporate IT
Cheers.
ladder.
right.
Beautiful.
To that.
Can I use Network Discovery to find Android/iOS tablets, then see their online status in inventory or inventory?
Inventory? Inventory. So, Monica, you can use Network Discovery to find these, assuming basically two things. One, your Android and OS tablets and stuff respond to a ping or an SMB request. Thank you. Wow. Whew. I'm glad he's here. So yes, you can do that. I tested it yesterday on my phone and a couple of phones around the office. So yeah, you can do that. Thing about it is, if you go into the computer information, it's not going to list the, the OS and that kind of thing. So you can find them. I've got a bunch of them that and then I got to go check for people.
It's true. On top of that, though, you can do the play with the allow scan and disable that, so you can actually set your own fields, modify, add some custom fields to that, and actually get valuable data in there for them.
Can you? And it's been a while since I've tested this. Can you change the MAC address on there?
Oh, you better believe you can.
So you put the MAC address, then every time it comes in with a new DHCP IP, it'll be found.
Yeah, put your phones in, your desk phones or something. If you need the MAC address to be able to remote into them, absolutely change them. It's awesome, helpful.
Do you want to do a demo? Yeah, we could probably do that. My phone, hopefully it's the same IP as yesterday.
Do you not have it? Is it?
It's in my office. Man, I don't want to ring while I'm in here. I could just imagine the kind of crap you guys would give me if I took a cell phone call in the middle of this. All right, so, excuse me, network discovery. I believe my phone is 1035. That's what it was yesterday. It should be.
Exciting.
So it's going to start scanning, and thanks, JJ. Demonstration.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what we do.
kill some time.
That's what we do in between drinking.
4 questions.
You're slowing my drinking down, JJ. Come on. Okay, you're not.
No, I'm not. You've got plenty more you can pour.
Device is found.
Found.
Yes.
All right, so we go into all computers. Now, just so you know, I was talking to Chase, who helped program this thing. Basically, if you have these devices in your DNS, it's going to try to attempt to go after the name first. If the name's not there, it'll go after the IP, okay, and then obviously anything. So this is attempting to scan my phone, and obviously my phone is not going to do anything but let you know that it's my phone. Nope. So again, here's where you would see this, and then you want to show them how to add a MAC address?
Oh, absolutely.
I know what the MAC address of my phone is.
If you come up here to the computer menu, and there's an allow scan option, if you disable that, some of the fields become editable here in this window. And notice that there's a MAC address, and should you have a MAC address, and I really don't, so we can just type one here, and obviously it's hex.
Do you need to put the colons in there at all?
Nope. You.
Excellent.
So I'm just filling in whatever you want. I mean, obviously that's not the length that it needs to be, but you can see how it works.
Yeah. So if you allow scan, is it going to keep that information?
Watch this.
I'm watching.
Bam!
Okay, so there you go. So next time my phone comes online, if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, that is really random.
It really is.
One finger, yeah. So it would actually identify that as my phone. So again, add your MAC address there.
Yep. Be warned though, if you do modify any of this information when allow scan is disabled, if it's a machine that can be scanned, if you then enable allow scan and then rescan, it will overwrite the information that you have modified.
Yeah.
Just pro tip.
Yep. All right.
Cool.
Dearest Lex and Chris, I have Office 365/Office 2016 installed on a computer. I need to install a language pack. Set up language, blah, yada, yada, yada. How can I install it via PDQ? Massimo R.
Hello, Massimo.
Hey, bud. Silent parameters for language install pack. Should we Google that?
Let's do it. Please.
No, let's do it.
You're the one on the spot. We love watching this.
I'm not allowed to type. They told me I can't type because it just comes out swear words when I type.
So there's 2 ways to deploy language packs with Office. I know I've seen this with 2013. I'm fairly certain it's the same with 2016. There's 2 ways. One is to modify the original setup, which is the preferred way, Microsoft preferred way, because it leaves it as one install. If you deploy them separately, it adds a second install for that language pack. But it's up to you which you prefer. But once you have all that information, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You might modify a config when you're deploying it using the setup, what is it called, the Office configuration tool to get that MSP file. We might have to, I haven't done it for a while. I don't remember off the top of my head all the different details for that.
Yeah, check into the MSP. That's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, it really is.
I don't know. Do we have a blog on that? Shane, if you're watching, bro. Do you mind?
He just.
Don't let Lex type. Yeah, thanks, bud.
He's definitely watching.
Hey, he's giving me crap from the other side of the planet.
But
I
he's
love
not
it.
wrong. We will be here all day if you type.
Well, that's true. I type, it just comes out swear words, so I just, or at least they come out of my mouth.
It comes up
something like-
Japanese, oddly enough. It's really bizarre.
So yeah, should be able to do that. And Shane, if we get a blog or something, man, if you'd pop that up for awesome, I would appreciate it. If not, we'll see what we can do.
I don't know if we have one, but if we don't,
I don't think we do for the language one. We do for the actual deployment
certainly
itself, but that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, pop the deployment one up.
Yeah,
Because you
that's-
can set language right there.
Yeah.
so basically installing a language pack via PDQ deploy, is that the
Something like that.
topic?
Sounds
Oh,
like.
that's what Annie's writing down right now. So
Okay.
Oh, it's about
we
right.
may get a blog post out of this.
There we
we
go.
may or may
Hey,
not
sweet.
include
Woohoo.
PowerShell because PowerShell.
Yeah, Shane's saying we don't.
Don't start with
Well, we will
PowerShell,
soon.
man.
I never stop.
That is a good
That's
point.
my problem.
Good point, bro.
Okay.
That was a pretty weak answer to that question, but we'll go with it.
It's very detailed. That's kind of the problem. Is it's extremely detailed answer.
Yeah.
We'll have an
So,
answer in like maybe 3 weeks
There you
or
go.
less.
3 weeks or less, yeah.
pending.
Dear Lex, Chris, and Shane, really, because he's hanging out here. We feel him. We feel his presence.
Feel him.
Is there a way to run a deployment but have a blackout period where it won't run, like 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.? E. James.
Hello, E. James.
Hey, E. James?
Probably the way that you're thinking it, no. No explicit way to set this. We do have a way to make it so that schedules stop.
Yeah.
Additionally, we do have some command line parameters that you can use with PDQ deploy. So you can actually get packages and schedules, get packages deployed and schedules started. And if you want to configure that with like the task scheduler, you could actually make sure that it runs and stops at certain times. I mean, there's things you can do, but natively to do what you're talking about, no.
Yeah, you're going to have to do a little research on task scheduler and that if you want to try and do that kind of stuff. So
No. That's probably how I would do it.
kind of a short, long answer there.
It is. It's.
Yeah.
Can we do it? No, not natively.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. What else we got?
Question from Justin S. Dear Lex and Chris, I know there are Windows service packs you can apply with PDQ deploy. Will the upgrade to Windows 10 installation ever be officially supported? If not, have you guys seen any working examples of people using PDQ deploy to upgrade computers to Windows 10 upgrade?
Okay, so there's a couple questions in there. Is it ever going to be officially supported? We've been bouncing that around. Shane and I have been talking about it. Probably not. We're probably not going to put that out in the package library. It's one of those things, Reason being is we've seen, depending on how you run that package, it doesn't hit 100% of the time. What we've seen is, you can deploy it with silent parameters, then you don't know if anything's done. One. Two, sometimes stuff happens and you just don't know. Because once you kick it off, it's going.
It's a crapshoot.
And then we have done it where it will show prompts, but then it's like, you got prompts going. You have to have someone
It's
sit there
not
and do
sending
it.
enough feedback.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so, officially supported, no. Are there ways to do it? We have played with it, doing it and letting it run, and it works some of the time. We have played with it, doing it with prompts, and if you're willing to sit there and hit yes, it works every time.
Yeah, well, one thing I might chime in as well,
Yeah.
because I'm partial to imaging solutions and PowerShell. If you have a good imaging solution, you should be able to trigger those to be done via a command line or via PowerShell. And those should be able to provide enough feedback that once it's done, that you should know. If it doesn't, sorry, it's up to them to implement those. But
Okay, so time out, man. You're saying you get better feedback on PowerShell?
no, not necessarily. Using like an imaging solution, say Fog,
Okay.
or something that might actually, you tell it to go deploy something. Granted, this isn't using the update utility built into Windows that's upgrading necessarily. You might just be deploying an image.
So time out here. So you can use PDQ to deploy from Fog?
You can use everything from Fog. You can, but
So
also,
you can launch a command line to Fog to do a...
I think so, yeah, as I recall.
Interesting.
Because you can do snap-ins in Fog or something. This is just
You have
one
to
example.
teach me how to do this and
It's
make
cool
my
stuff.
job easier, man.
But if you combine that with PDQ deploy to run a command step or a PowerShell step, you can do a lot more powerful things. You could even do it as a custom tool in inventory, and actually, as long as it has command line parameters that you can feed into it, you should be able to do it that way. You won't get
Okay,
the same.
so there's a
feedback.
lot of should-bes. When it comes to doing it with PDQ deploy,
I smell a blog post. Let's
I do too, but it's one of those things, yes, you can kick it off. Not a lot of feedback. There are other options that seem to get better feedback, is what Chris
Possibly.
is saying.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the PowerShell zealot here says he can do it through PowerShell. Which is probably true, but
Maybe. We'll
So are you
see.
saying that that's your next PowerShell blog post?
I think you should.
Is that what you're-
there you go. That's a
Barring time.
throwdown. That's a throwdown right
Considering
there.
what? That's in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is. It's coming up.
or yeah, just about. Jeez. Ooh.
You think you can do it?
I'd give enough time, sure.
You commit to these people. Come on.
That's right.
You don't have to make any commitments, dude.
I just get up on my soapbox.
Just remember, we were said
nice.
never to commit to anything. We talk about it. Got to make sure we can deliver. That's the issue there.
Next question comes from Rick M., which could mean Ricky Martin, living la vida loca. That's what happens to pop stars. They go into IT after their careers fade. Does
how I got
PDQ work on Microsoft Azure? If so, what is different than a server?
All right, so PDQ deploy. If it's in DNS, you get an IP, SMB is open, firewalls, you set up to allow it. I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Yeah,
You're making
that's-
it really complicated, but yeah.
No, I'm just
As long as
saying,
those-
no, that's what-
You're right,
that's-
as long as those ports are open.
They got to be open, but here's the thing. If you got your Azure, I guess you can scope that port down to only come from your office.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man, security-wise, I would,
I know,
Lex
Lex wouldn't touch it.
I'm paranoid, man. I am so paranoid about security.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically,
Possible.
you could do it. You could do it. I would question your security sense by doing that, but I guess it depends on how many you got out there. I mean, again, if you scope it, there are ways to do it, but
It's true. He'd be the one to be able to do it.
be
Yes, but be
careful, very careful. So there's a lot, exploits. You guys know this, right? A lot of exploits for SMB, a lot of exploits for ping. There's a lot,
Yep.
So just be careful.
That's the gist of it.
I have built a administrative install point using SolidWorks 2015 SP 5.0. I can run it locally from blah, 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 blah.
No. I want you to read it. Read it, Kelly. Read it.
All I know is it works great, but when attempting to create a task, I must be missing something because it always fails to install. David F.
So, and David, I'm not familiar with SolidWorks, but two things come to mind really quick. One, sometimes programs need a window running on the machine, even if it's an invisible window that they can access, and I forget the name of that. Shane would be able to tell us. So you might want to try it in interactive mode.
Deploy a user interactive.
Try that, see if that works. That'll be probably the first thing. What else?
The other one is making sure there's one thing I'm going to pull up deploy here to show you. To make sure that when you have a package with an install step, that if you're specifying a directory and it has other files that are required for the install, make sure that you check the include entire directory
Or
option.
add every file that you need to.
Right, otherwise it won't find those files because it won't copy them over to the target machine. So when setup says, hey, go find this file, it doesn't know where it's at and can't continue, and thus will fail.
Yeah.
So that's about the two things I would
Yeah,
follow.
try those two things, and that should at least,
No.
get you further.
Yep, I'll do it.
Wow, we're answering these pretty
We're
quick.
answering these like professionals.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Shane's not here, man.
We're doing air quotes, professionals. Dear Lex, Shane,
We're
Chris,
doing professionals.
and Shane in Europe, we're working on cleaning up DNS, but it was never done right from the start. So it's a long, painful process. Anyway, any way I can help my deployments be more successful in the meantime. Brian W.
So I know Kelly doesn't drink, but dang, dude.
Well, to be fair, any way should have a space in between it. That's any way I can help my deployment.
Okay, so ultimately, dirty DNS means bad deployments, guys.
gonna
It's
have a
just
bad
that's
time.
what it is. So
I will drink in your honor.
you're gonna drink in his honor.
Sip.
You gotta drink
In my
in his honor.
We've all been through the DNS fun.
Yeah, guys, it's without a clean DNS, you're just fighting an uphill battle. So get that DNS cleaned up. And in fact, if you've got a lackey, stick him on it. Okay, Remember, sysadmin means you are the big dog. Stick a lackey on that one.
Good point. Also, if your DNS is messed up and you know the IPs, use them by IPs. It's going to be kind of convoluted to keep track of, but
You can
It's
do
better
it.
than
It's
nothing.
just, especially if you got DHCP. Good luck.
yeah. So
So,
it might be a toss-up whether it's actually still getting the correct target, but it's still better than nothing. Kind of like what it sounds like where you're
it's
at.
better than nothing.
So
That's like shotgun with your eyes closed. You know?
best kind of IT.
But, oh,
I'm gonna put a pause on PDQ&A for a second
Okay.
and point out that people are like, "Hey, why doesn't Chris have a corgi shirt on?"
Oh,
ooh.
And it turns out he actually does.
Can you,
it's so small. I
let's,
don't know.
you gonna try and get in
yeah,
there?
we're gonna get. I don't know if I can zoom in enough.
It's
Yeah,
Mount
if you look-
Rushmore with a corgi on it.
And
Look to the
corgi
right,
tourists.
Corgi tourists.
Yeah, it's actually an amazing shirt I got for Father's Day.
Dude, really? Honestly? Embracing corgis that much that people identify you by your corgi shirts.
Yeah. Today's
More power
Thursday.
to
It's
you, man.
this
More
corgi
power to you,
Monday.
Larry.
Why isn't he wearing a corgi shirt? This is unprecedented.
I know.
We
Now
can't
Rushmore
listen to you
corgis.
guys unless you're drinking and Chris has got a corgi shirt.
And spouting something about PowerShell and corgis, which, by the way, I do have a script that displays an ASCII image of corgi.
You know, you
yes,
oughta,
I do.
You ought to put that out.
I should.
You should put that out for everybody.
Anyway,
It's horrible and wrong, but you should do it.
moving on.
Moving right along.
Mount Rushmore. Yes, love it.
Ding. There you go. Is there a way to add a scanned registry value to a column in collection view? For example, I'm grabbing the TeamViewer ID and want it displayed in the collection. Thank you in advance, Dr.
Oh.
Johnny Fever D.
I'm looking at you, man. I'm like, I
Well-
don't know that I could do that.
So,
But
the best way to keep this information, if you want it here, is to really use, well, let's show you. So we have inventory open. You're going to want to probably store this in like a custom field.
oh, that's right. Okay.
So if I do something,
So you're gonna do a registry scanner, and then from that registry scan, you're gonna make a collection. So yeah, you can do it. Now, thing about your registry scan, make sure you know the further down the path that is. Otherwise, that's gonna be a long scan, guys.
yep,
So
something fancy,
something fancy.
something valued.
So time out. So you're doing it there as opposed to just. I mean, you can do it there, but a registry scan is just gonna pick that up. You can search the registry.
So here, when you add columns to your collection page, the columns that are visible do not include the registry columns. That's I think that's what the question is referencing. However, you can actually add the custom fields. So here is my something fancy column. I can add, and here it is at the very top, and I'll even make it a fixed column. And you can see that now I have that value here in my collection view.
Something fancy.
So something fancy and something valued, and today we have something learned. So I just went really coordinated.
Something borrowed, something blue.
That is,
Yeah.
that is so bad, Chris.
So gist of it is, it's going to be a manual process for you to get it into a custom custom field. Excuse me. You can update the database directly, but we don't recommend that necessarily unless you really need to. But if you have a need for it, it's definitely possible.
Back up your database
Yes.
first. Okay.
Yes. And so, but this is a possibility to get an interview if you put it into a custom field. So,
Alright.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Alrighty then.
Our next question from repeat offender Massimo R. Is it possible to keep WLAN IP and LAN IP of the same laptop in PDQ inventory?
I'm going to repeat what I just said.
Custom field, man.
This is going to be the way that you're going to want to do it, because if you're talking about here on the computer page with this IP address, there's just limited to the one.
Yeah.
So you can store that information as a custom field, but that is the limitation.
And the
So,
problem is, if it changes, you got to
You
go
have
change
to
your
go
custom
update it,
field. So
so-
there's no real good way to do that.
nope.
So, sorry, man.
But thanks. Good question.
Silence.
Give us a minute.
Give us a sec. Okay.
Ding.
Oh, wait. But wait, there's less.
Wait, there's less?
Oh, Wait, there's more.
Oh, a lot more.
I have a question regarding PDQ inventory. I have some computers recently upgraded to Windows 10. Since then, I get an extended error has occurred message when attempting a scan. Pings are successful and the clock is correct. The network connections are fine. Do you have any other suggestions to resolve this error message? I'd rather not roll out Windows 10 to any more if this will pop up everywhere. Deploying from a 2012 R2 server with Optiplex 740S, Chris S.
What's the BIOS version? I'm just kidding, guy. There's just a lot of detail there. Okay, so first,
He actually had me panic a little for the
did you really?
wait, what?
What?
You need the BIOS version.
No, it's the most detail I've ever seen in a question. I love it. Ultimately, here's the thing, right? If you were able to scan before something has changed, so first thing I'd check is your firewall settings. If they've changed, that's probably the very first thing.
Firewall would be the first and foremost. I mean, especially if they're not on a domain or they are on a domain, you have policies that are applied thanks to group policy, but they're not being applied for whatever reason. I mean, that's first and foremost.
Yeah,
what
check your
rings a
firewall
bell.
settings. That'd be the first place to look.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the best.
I mean, it sounds like you've done quite a lot of troubleshooting for it. If you've done, we have those posts online in our forums that kind of give you the rundown for what needs to happen for you to be able to deploy to a target or for you to scan a target. If you've already gone through the due diligence and done that and start having a problem,
Yeah.
Hit us up.
Shoot one to support.
yeah, we'll see if we can figure out what's going on.
Question.
Can PDQ deploy be used to push out a deep freeze installation? Stefan C.
Do you know what deep freeze is?
I know what it is, but I've never really used it myself.
Okay, so what is it? I've never played with it.
So you have, and please, someone in the lobby, correct me if I'm wrong, but deep freeze is where you take a machine, you have all the settings and everything that's where it's at, you kind of lock it down, so it's kind of read only more or less. Any changes that happen after that, on a reboot, they get reset to where they were.
Okay.
And so in order to make changes, you have to thaw it, I think is the term that they use, and then make the changes, then refreeze it and work with that. If there's a command line interface, you probably can, but just like Lex, I'm not intimately familiar with deep freeze, so I don't know. Definite maybe.
Use your Google Foo, my friend.
Yes.
We will look into it.
Yeah, we'll probably take a look at it. I mean, we kind of want to. I'm kind of curious
I
now at this
think
point.
I've heard about the question, a similar question before on deep freeze, but
That's a great
It
question.
seems to be
though.
more and more popular these days.
Is it?
So.
Yeah, I think it's
definitely
used a lot.
something
In
Yeah,
schools
it's used by, like,
especially.
schools and hospitals,
Universities,
and military.
and-
Yeah.
So,
So definitely something.
that makes sense if you got a bunch
to
of
check out.
end users who are IQs are slightly warmer than room temperature. I'd do that.
you're tossing them a bone.
I'm just the mean sysadmin.
Oh, yum.
Okay, final question of the day from Jason C. Is there a way to determine which Microsoft Office package is installed? I know PDQ Inventory will tell me which version of Office is installed, but I want to know which products in the suite are.
Both of us are like, huh?
Well, other than knowing what the suite is and knowing what products are associated with that, I guess I'm not entirely sure.
So I guess a couple of ways to look at it, and I haven't done this. I'd look at, what's registered, in the registry. You may be able to determine from that. I mean,
You might. We recently wrote the uninstall Office packages that do a PowerShell script. I wrote those, and on those, I'm trying to recall if I saw anything specific to packages that are installed, and I believe there was an XML file that you could provide for uninstalling that allowed you to specify those. So there probably is a way to query what is installed in that installation. I don't know off the top of my head though. That's actually a really good idea. Kind of a neat idea actually.
Shane's saying we'd need a file scanner to get that info.
oh, file.
Yes.
That's right. There you go.
File scanner would be great.
Good point. Thanks, Shane.
And then once you get, if that's listed in a file itself, I don't know if it's in the file itself. If it's in the file itself, I'm going to throw it out there.
For the Excel, the Word, all those
Yeah.
exe files. Yeah, you can do that.
It might be stored in like a config file or an XML file somewhere. If it is, use PowerShell, and you can go through and kind of see what's in there.
Yeah, I don't shake my head because I don't love PowerShell. I just shake my head because every time you get a chance to plug it, it's like, Yeah, I was pouring a drink with PowerShell the other day, and
Yeah,
You too?
You surpass evangelism and
yeah, that's right. You're like a zealot.
love
I've
it.
said this before. You are a zealot.
Great.
So that's the last one today.
yeah, that's it.
Wow, you guys lucked out. You don't have to deal with me and Chris anymore. Shane will be back next week. Woohoo! So,
Yay.
hey Shane, we love you, bro, and
Thanks for watching, Shane.
thanks for the questions, guys. We really
Yeah,
appreciate
they were
it.
good. I'm Chris. Bye.
He's Chris.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. Our webcast winners were E. James and Brian W. If you guys will email me at webcast@adamantarsenal.com, I'll hook you up with that swag. That's E. James and Brian W. We will see you guys next Thursday.